All right, let's get into the it couple of the season. We all know, we all love them. Brett and Tiffany, they were the most solid through and through of the whole season. So there was no surprises here that, both of them said yes, tearfully,
Yeah.
joyfully. The whole wedding was so beautiful. There were so many great moments on their wedding day. But Hannah, what stood out to you the most about their wedding day? What was like your
Their
favorite
wedding.
part?
Oh my gosh. Honestly, I loved seeing Tiffany sit in the bed and I loved her interview. I loved all of those clips of Tiffany just
Yeah.
talking about him and then just like I love the interaction that Brett had with her dad too and asking for the
Love
the
that.
the ability to have the confidence to ask for the blessing 20 minutes before you're walking down the aisle or whatever it is. I'm exaggerating. But like that is
Right, right,
very
right.
that's very confident,
Mhm.
that's very certain, and I just think that
Yeah.
these 2 are just foolproof, man. If they ever split, I know nothing at this point, and I have to go back to the drawing board with love.
Giving up.
They're so wonderful together, and honestly, I
Yeah.
will say, I think a lot of it
Mhm.
has to do with their age. I think they're a little
Mm.
bit older than the rest of the cast, and I think that there's something to be
Yeah.
said about getting married into your later ages of life, into your 30s. I think that there's
Mhm.
something to be said about that. Um, I think
Yeah.
it's a little bit more foolproof. Not for everybody. Of course, people get married at 20 and 21 and they last, and more power to them. But like, I just think that they
Mhm.
work because of their ages too. I kind of paid attention to that throughout the
Yeah.
season and where their problems lied and where everybody else's lied. Everybody else's, it seemed like it was very college and high school esque type of things. And for them, I felt like
Mhm.
anything that was talked about, they even just, they hashed everything out in such a mature way. You know,
Yeah.
Brett never had any
Communicated so
hesitation.
well.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
if she had hesitation, he doused it for her. That is so
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah, they were so great to see. They were definitely one of my favorites. I mean, I
Mhm.
loved that we got to see such a strong couple that was mature and handling themselves so well and so who like what you were saying, they know themselves. And I think that's what kind of set them apart is that they're so secure in who they are individually as people because they're later in life, they're very sure of themselves and they know themselves through and through versus like a Jackie and a Marshall who it's like you can tell there's discrepancies within how their own relationship with themselves, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
So they've done their
100%.
work, they're settled in life, they're mature, and I just loved seeing Black love be represented so well on screen in such a big show. So I was just so proud of them. I think one of my favorite moments was definitely when his dad was like, "You need my crying towel," and he was like,
I
"No, Dad, I
know.
don't need your crying towel." And then he kept asking him, "You sure you don't need my crying towel?" And then right when Tiffany came out, he was bawling, crying. So
Aw.
it was so, so, so sweet. The other moment that we had to talk about at their wedding was it was the only snag in their whole wedding. Everything was perfect except Brett's pants were not fitting him right. And
Oh my
my guy
goodness.
had almost a breakdown about these pants. I mean,
I
I thought him and his
know.
brother were about to like duke it out about something else. I was like, "What's going on? What's the drama? What happened?"
Mhm.
And then it was an hour and a half before the wedding. He is like, "I'm about to go get these pants hemmed." What did you think about that? Because if I was Tiffany and I watched that back, I would be like, "Brett, you almost missed our wedding for these pants." Like, what did you think about that?
My favorite thing about that is the fact that Brett, and again, look at editing, look at what was shot. You know, at the end of the day, things get chopped up and things
Mhm.
happen. But I love that that was the only issue that Brett even like brought to the table. If you think of anything throughout this whole season, if there's anything that Brett got even a little bit like passionate about that wasn't involving Tiffany, it
Mhm.
was this. And I just love that for
Mhm.
him. I love that that's like his chaotic moment is about his pants. He was nicknamed Bougie Brett for a reason. I love it. I love guys that like give style a chance and a go and that they care about like
Mhm.
how they look. I think that there's something to be said about that. So I think what you said about like
Yeah.
Tiffany being like, "Oh my gosh, really? That's what you were concerned. You almost missed the wedding because of that." I think that's just adorable that that's like that's the thing that
Yeah.
she'd look back on the footage and get mad about. And then that's so
Right,
minute,
right.
you know, but
So
I thought it
minute.
was
And
so
knowing
funny.
Tiffany, yeah, knowing
You'd be
Tiffany,
like,
I've heard her talk about, The reason why her and Brett work so well and communicate so well is they don't get caught up in the little things that don't matter. Like,
Right.
at the end of the day, they're like, "You're my person, so whether or not you didn't do this little thing or whatever, we don't harp they don't harp on the little things. They don't make it a big deal." Like, I'm sure she watched it back and just laughed like, "Well, you made it, so it's all good. It's okay." And
Yeah.
like you were saying, he's into style, he's into fashion. Like,
He
it's
is.
as if, like, for him, that's as if, like, a woman's like, your wedding dress didn't fit. Like, I understand being a designer, why that really, really bothered him. And, he was like, I need to get this fixed. I don't care. Like, I'm doing this. This is my wedding day. This matters. So,
Mhm.
I found it interesting. I found it kind of funny. And I think at the end of the day, they were just so beautiful together. I loved how emotional they were about each other. And Hannah, that last shot of them in that green pickup truck
I
after they
know.
got married was so gorgeous with the mountains in
I
the
know.
background. Oh my God. It was
I
so
know.
gorgeous. It was so perfect. I loved the location of where they all got
I
married.
was gonna say, I
So,
the wedding venue
yeah.
is my favorite one that they've used so
Oh
far
my
out of all
gosh.
of the
Favorite one they've
seasons. It
ever
was
done.
gorgeous. I might use that one day. I love
Hands
it. It was
down.
gorgeous.
Hands
Yeah.
down. Somewhere in Seattle, I guess, somewhere in that area. So very, very
Yeah.
pretty.